Hi, glad you could join me today. If you'd like to paint along with me, there are links in the description to the paper and paints I'm using, but whatever you have around will work just fine. We're using acrylics on canvas paper today. What you can see I'm doing on the page right in front of you is just penciling in what I want the composition of this painting to be. I want some mountains, some trees, and we're not quite sure what we want to do with the front of that painting. We'll get there when we get there. And now I've just kind of put some color that I want the sky to be. We're going to go with some more traditional colors, but you can do any sorts of colors you'd like. I'm sure in future videos I'll be doing some more zany colors, some more fun colors. But regular can be fun too. Now, when you're thinking about your sky, putting the darker colors towards the top and bringing the light down can look really nice and make it look realistic, because the light's going to come just right over those mountains. That's what we're going to do today. And I kind of forgot a little spot between the peaks of those mountains, and we're going to go back there and fix that up and find the color of the sky over there. And we're just going to wrap up the sky for now and see how that looks with the rest of our painting as we go. We've got some browns for the mountains today. That mountain in the back, we want that to be in the background. So we're going to lighten that up a little bit. So we put a little white with our brown. And that's just to push that mountain back. We want it to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more out of focus than the ones that we have in the foreground. Now we want that one on the left that we're working on now. This one we want to be the most foreground mountain that we have on this painting. And we're going to see that as we move forward. I'm going to add a little bit of white, just a touch, to the one on the right hand side, so we can just show a slight distinction between the one on the left and the one on the right. This brush that I'm using is really nice. It came with the paints that I'm using for this painting. And this one can be really good for those mountains because it's a very particular brush. You can get some nice small spots of your painting pretty precisely painted in. Now you can see this one's just a touch lighter, barely even noticeable, but it really does help to draw that distinction between the one on the right and the one on the left. And as I've been going, I've been kind of putting in some strokes how I want the mountain to eventually look like once we add some light spots and leave some shadows behind. We're going to go back to that one and mix up a little bit of a color for that package at the back. Sorry, nice package, that mountain at the back. Now we're just going to find out where our mountain lives. Oh, not over there. And you can change this at any time. Oh, see, there we go. We pulled that mountain forward a little bit because it looked a little bit nicer to me. That's how I wanted it. Now we're going to go and put in some shadow. I just didn't quite like how the color of that mountain was, and I wanted it to be a little bit more orangish, a little more bright. Now we're going to find out where our foreground mountain lives. We're going to figure out what it looks like. And anywhere you leave, that's going to be a shadow on your mountain. So wherever we're putting light, that's going to be the front of our mountain, and wherever we leave dark, that's going to be the shadow in the back of our mountain. You have to think about where that light is, and for us it's on the right side of this painting. And you have to think about where that light's going to hit your mountain to make it look like a mountain. Now you can have fun with this. I really like painting mountains. You can change them anytime you want. You can force them to go one way and move the mountains. You can put them anywhere, and it can just be a blast to play with mountains. You can do it all day, but you gotta move on to the rest of the painting sometimes. Now that one on the right side, I don't have much of a form to that mountain, but we're just gonna put some texture and try and make it kind of have a similar flow to the other mountains. Some light spots, some dark spots, just have some texture and look like some rock. When we add the rest of our painting to that, it's not going to matter that it doesn't have much of a form to it. It's just going to look like some textured rock, a little bit of mountain that's just behind that one on the left and just in front of that one in the middle. Now I've mixed up some color for the trees that I'd like the color to be, and what I'm using for these trees is a fan brush. This didn't come with the paints that I'm using. I had it lying around, and it is just a wonderful brush for doing this sort of thing. Anything with a pine tree. Oh, and there you saw me just pulling some color off the page because there had been some globs from my mountain that were interfering with my trees. And you can just take any old brush and pull that off the page if it's giving you any trouble. Now, I run out of color when I'm trying to do this, and I have to mix up some new color here. You can see that happening. And when I'm mixing up color, you don't need to be an expert to do this. I'm just kind of experimenting and seeing what I like, what colors mixing different things creates, and how I can put that on the page. And as you can see, it's working out just fine. Now this line of trees, we want this to go all the way across the page to have a line of separation and add some depth to this painting. And I'm still having some trouble with having enough color to put on the page, but we'll be alright. We'll just mix up a little bit more. And now we're going to have to start thinking about how we want the foreground of our painting to look. What do we want to put there? I know we already penciled in that we want a tree there, and we'll think about putting that in. But we've still got a good portion of our painting that's we haven't decided on yet, and I think we'll just find it as we go. You can see I mixed up some color, and then I didn't know quite what I was doing and what to do with that, so we'll just use that later for the tree. Now I'm mixing up some color for the ground, the foreground, what we want the actual ground on the painting to look like. And you can see the color that I mixed up was a little bit too close to the trees, so I decided to go back and put some darker colors in with those trees, and it actually does a couple of nice things for us. One, it makes a clear distinction between our ground and our trees, which is nice. It'll end up looking really nice. And the second thing it does is it adds some depth to those trees. It makes it look like there's a couple of layers of trees and really makes them pop. Now, I really don't know what I'm doing at this point. I'm just gonna layer in a little bit of land and see what happens. And at this point, when I just got that little spot on the right, I just saw a lake. Just kind of appeared to me, so we're gonna put in a little lake here, and hopefully it looks just beautiful, and I'm sure it will. And we're gonna finish putting in the land on the left side there, and then I'm new to these paints, so I've only been working with them for maybe a week, so we're gonna do a little experiment with them and just put some color down and see how they mix. We did this with the sky, but hopefully we can get some of the same colors, and using a little bit more paint down here than we did with the sky to maybe get more of a mixture, a clear mixture. And as you can see, it's working pretty well. I really am happy with the color that we got in this water. I think it looks really nice. And you can see I kind of moved the lake a little bit from what we had originally planned, because I wanted it to come out a little bit and move off the page on the right side and come a little bit further over to the left, and that's what we did. You can move the composition of your painting as you go, and that could be something fun. Who knew you could move entire lakes and mountains? Well, now you do, so hopefully you go out and do it. Now we're adding in that tree that we originally planned, and we ran out of color because I think some of it dried while we were working on the lake and the ground. That's alright, we just grabbed a little bit more color and mixed it up. And, you know, trees gotta have friends, so we're putting in a little friend for our little tree. I like those trees. They add even more depth to our painting and kind of frame it and draw our eye to where we want to look, which is at those mountains, those trees on the right side, and at that lake. And we're just about at a finished painting with lighting up those trees there, and I'm glad you could join me today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you painted along with me today, I hope you had some fun. Until next time.